easy now for an employee. In the past, pre-pandemic, if you were looking to change a job, you had to work out your new commute, where you were going to go, and was it going to be more travel or less travel, and all that. That's just not a consideration anymore, at least not for people in technology. You literally
Yeah.
say at the same desk using a different laptop, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's your job change. So the
Yeah.
barrier to change is much lower than it used to be.
Right.
And then that sense of belonging, I feel, has changed as well. People tend to, what I'm observing is people tend to have good relationships with a small number of people in their company that they talk to all the time. They're on Zoom calls or Teams calls with them, but they're missing the big picture relationships. And if any of those, that small number of strong relationships, if any of that breaks down, something goes bad with between a boss and an employee, or the key person leaves, that individual now will feel quite unstable because they've lost a significant part of their work relationship. In
Yeah.
the past, if you were coming to work every day and talking to 20 different people or interacting with 20 different people, you might not miss that one person so much.
Right.
So I think our relationships are more brittle with between the employee and the employer, just more brittle and more fragile,
Hmm.
and it's just easier to change. And because there's a shortage in the marketplace, there's always a better offer out there. And so it's the battle we're seeing is actually intensifying. It's getting tougher.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. So we said that the line between work and personal life is blurred. So how do you think it's going to influence companies and leadership? What do you need to prepare in order to understand that the past rules are not relevant anymore? Now you need to understand people see work differently, people perceive their role, what they're doing differently. What do they need to understand from it?
I think there's a big piece missing in a lot of organizations around the cultural alignment. And what I'm starting to understand is that people are really looking for a sense of purpose above and beyond the job they do. And people will join organizations where they feel like their values are aligned with the organization, or the cultural environment that they want to work in. When they feel like they have that alignment on culture, it's a soft thing, but it's becoming extremely important in society today. Wasn't important in the past, but I feel like there are soft factors at play that employers have not yet tapped into, and companies and government organizations or schools or hospitals expressing with great clarity who they want to be, how we want to show up at work, how we want to present ourselves, how we want to serve our community, and finding people who identify with that as their mission. That's going to become a really important factor going forward, more so than the hardware I'm going to give you to do your job, or the pay I'm
Yeah.
going to give you, or the benefits, or the flexibility, or whatever. I think it's that kind of purpose driven, mission driven organization where people hear a leader speaking, or they read something from the company, or they can identify with some charity work that the organization is doing, and they feel this thing, and it's deep and it's carnal, and they go, I want to work for you guys. I want to be part of your team. I get
Yeah.
it. I feel what you're doing, and I want to be part of that. And if you can get to people emotionally like that, I believe that's a lot stronger than saying we're going to give you a shiny new laptop and all these
Yeah.
flexible hours.
Yeah, I totally agree that, especially the young generation, that sometimes people see them as a bit like it's a trouble to handle them because they require so much, and they want to understand everything really fast, and to be in a leadership position in about a month from their starting date, more or less. So I see that people sometimes it's hard for them to understand it, but I really appreciate the fact that they do ask questions. They don't agree with what they're like getting from from day one. They have a question mark. They're not compliant, and I really like it. And what you're saying is they want to know that what they're doing is like a good thing. You see it like you see it a lot in like in social media companies. People are asking questions. In technology companies, people are asking questions. You see it in hardware companies. Where do people? Where are the manufacturers? capabilities. What are they doing exactly? Where? What are the level of payment that they get? Like they ask questions, and I think that the previous maybe like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even people did not think about it. They don't really didn't really care. They say like that's a successful company. They make lots of money. It's a good place to work for, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like
Yeah.
it's different, and I really appreciate that when I
Yeah.
see that.
I reflect back to the conversation that was happening in the workplace 10, 15 years ago. And there was a lot of company leaders were complaining about the millennials. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can remember. There was a lot
yeah,
of bitching and moaning about these millennials and their expectations and what they brought to work and what they were demanding and expecting. But we learned to harness millennials, and many organizations now are led by these amazing